Hello everyone, welcome to Global Government News. Today is August 5th, 2010, and I am Darko. Today in this video, we're going to be covering just a general news. Please check out my other video that I just posted today on eugenics news. Some very interesting articles in there. This first article is titled, Portland Lemonade Stand Runs into Health Inspectors, Needs $120 License to Operate. And this is kind of a sad story. I was just using the good old-fashioned lemonade entrepreneurial example story with a friend of mine, talking about, you know, as a child you were able to have your little lemonade stand and not be taxed and be able to operate pretty much unhindered by the government. And here we go. In the very liberal state I just visited for about a month, you have this. It's hardly unusual to hear small business owners gripe about licensing requirements or complain that heavy-handed regulations are driving them into the red. So when Multnomah County shut down an enterprise last week for operating without a license, you might just sigh and say, there they go again. Except this entrepreneur was a 7-year-old named Julie Murphy. Her business was a lemonade stand at last Thursday monthly art fair in Northeast Portland. The government regulation she violated, failing to get a $120 temporary restaurant license. Turns out that kids' lemonade stands, those constants of summertime, are supposed to get a permit in Oregon, particularly at big events that happen to be patrolled regularly by county health inspectors. And one thing that you don't want to be confused with is this word, health inspectors, because these guys don't really care too much about the health or the quality of the food and that. Really, all they're there to do is to collect their dues. That's it. Just, you have to picture them as a mafia with, you know, the hats and the suicide doors and the guns pointed at people. That's what it is. It's nothing more. But it's a mafia, and except this time they have a nice little suit and tie, and they're clean shaven and they talk well. But yeah, they're not there to do that. They're there to collect revenue for the state. It says, I understand the reason behind what they're doing. I don't. And it's a neighborhood event, and they're trying to generate revenue, said John Kawaguchi, environmental health supervisor for the Monmouth County Health Department. But we still need to put the public's health first. It says, Julie had become enamored of the idea of having a stand after watching an episode of cartoon pig Olivia running one. Says the two live in Oregon City. Said, even so, Julie was careful about making the lemonade, cleaning her hands with hand sanitizer, using a scoop for the bagged ice, and keeping everything covered when it wasn't in use, Fifth said. After 20 minutes, a lady with a clipboard came over and asked for their license. When Fife explained they didn't have one, the women told them they would need to leave or possibly face a $500 fine. So you want to know why we're in the position that we're in with our economy, and why we're losing jobs, and why people who don't have jobs are losing the motivation to even look for them anymore? It's because when you're a child and you go through the re-education camps, they teach you that the state is good and the state is God, and the markets and the capitalism, and this is a free market, right? And America is the best and the freest because of our economy. Well, it's a bunch of hoopla, right? It's a bunch of rhetoric because we don't live it. And what is this child supposed to think? You know, when she takes she takes the initiative to try to earn some money instead of asking for it from her parents, and then she gets hassled by the state to give them a little bit of a cut. You know. I mean, this is a perfect example. Now it actually makes the good old-fashioned example of the lemonade stand entrepreneur free market. It just made this even more of a, or made it better of an example. Sorry, it just made it a better example of how we do not live in a free market. Hopefully, I wasn't beating a dead horse there. It's just I was very surprised to see that story. This article, Feds admit storing checkpoint body scan images. I posted this yesterday. It was posted and published on CNET yesterday, but I just wanted to show this before I cut to this next article. So now we know Feds admit storing checkpoint body scan images after They said that they weren't. NATO admits civilian Afghan deaths. NATO has admitted killing a number of civilians during military operations in eastern Afghanistan after President Hamid Karzai launched a probe into the case. This is something that I think most of us are already aware of. Yeah, they're going after the Taliban, but they're also killing a lot of Afghani civilians, women and children, also in Pakistan, killing them with these drone aircraft, bombing schools and mosques and homes. But I guess this is kind of the week or the month of telling us stuff that we already know, telling the masses, the sheep, information, stuff that we already know, like the fluoride. The UN was proposing that they take the fluoride out of the water because it's not needed, but only for those that are developed nations like the United States and UK. But no, keep it for the underdeveloped nations. We also had the WikiLeaks telling us that, ooh, the U.S. is giving Pakistan all this money and turning a blind eye, and then all of a sudden Pakistan's giving the money to Taliban and they're fueling insurgencies in Afghanistan. And so they were telling us that stuff that we already knew, along with, you know, let's bomb and let's go to Pakistan and let's focus on Iran. And so yeah, they're just telling us stuff that we already know, which is interesting. I guess maybe it's a month of disclosure, you can call it. But like I said, again, stuff we already knew. Churchill banned UFO report to avoid mass panic. British wartime Prime Minister Winston Churchill banned the reporting for 50 years of an alleged UFO incident because of fears it would create mass panic, according to claims made public on Thursday. The grandson of an RAF officer who was one of Churchill's personal bodyguards wrote to Britain's Ministry of Defense in 1999 about the alleged incident. His account in Churchill's claim reaction featured in documents released on Thursday from Britain's National Archives. According to this account, the man's grandfather overheard Churchill discuss the alleged incident with U.S. wartime General Dwight D. Eisenhower. Reports given to Churchill claimed that a reconnaissance aircraft returning to Britain from a mission was shadowed by a UFO as it crossed the British coast. Said the plane's crew were reported to have photographed the object, which they said hovered noiselessly, that's a weird tricky word, near the aircraft before moving off. Look at this. And it said, quote, this is what Churchill is reported to have made a declaration. This event should be immediately classified since it would create mass panic among the general population and destroy one's belief in church. And see, we don't want that, right? We don't want that. We don't want people to do that, become free and think for themselves. See, because they treat us like sheep. They leave us in the darkness and ignorance. And so something like this, if it did actually exist, well, I think that 80% of the craft that are considered UFOs are government. Not really sure about the whole alien thing, but hey, if UFOs, 10% of them were from off planet somewhere, yeah, people would freak out because they're sheep, and they wouldn't know what to do. They wouldn't know how to react, and the church would have to be there for them to pacify them and to give them some kind of stability, and they would look to their governments to help them. And the problem would lie in the fact that the governments, if they did exist, the governments would be the first people who would be cooperating and working with them. I mean, they wouldn't tell you a damn thing. So, but that's just one way of controlling a lot of people. It's called mind control. They know what the hell's going on and you don't. This is from today on CNN. Pentagon demands WikiLeaks return all leaked documents. Right. The Defense Department is demanding WikiLeaks return all documents belonging to the Pentagon and delete any records or documents. The Senate approves Obama nominee Kagan to top court. And then if you go to WorldNet Daily, you find that she's associated with Obama and his eligibility to be president and his citizenship. So check this article out. Bill Gates funds covert vaccine technology aimed at sterilizing men for up to 6 months. Get your vaccine. And lawsuit challenges airport full body scanners. Thank you.